What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm out in the shop tonight, and we're in the process of putting the running boards on this tractor here. I worked on this thing some last night. I was kind of excited when I got them in, and I had the heater and everything running because it was cold, so I didn't really start videoing anything. But I've got this side here stuck on there and wanted to get the brake pedals and all that stuff lined up. These things are made by Sparex, I think is how you say the name. And this one here did not fit really that great. It has a notch here for some reason, maybe on the newer tractors that notch is there for a reason, I don't know. But it comes with the thing right here, a 90-degree bend basically is the way this was. And as you see, the bolt down in there, right there, it takes more than a 90-degree bend to make that line up. The top hole up here, right there, didn't line up, and I had to take a drill and slot that hole out to make everything line up, and then I had to put a come along on this piece and a bottle, not a bottle jack, a floor jack, and get up under here and get that bent in to where I could get the bolt in it. So I had a little bit of trouble getting that in there to line up and everything, but I think they're going to be a whole lot better. It's a lot wider. The other one is still over there, and the floor over there where I got it, but you can see how much wider that is. So we're going to go ahead and get that on there and see what that looks like. All right, guys, so this is the factory running board on this side here, and you can see how much narrower it is and the big gap that you have between the fender here. Now this fender is not exactly lined up perfectly square and everything. It's just kind of sitting there and kind of snug because I have to take it back off to put the rollover protection structure that I'm building on here. But anyway, it's on there for looks right now. I've got take these two bolts here I just took out, and I've got two more here and one right here, I believe. And I'll pull this out of the way. We'll put the other one up there, and you can see how much wider that it is than this one. All right, guys, so that is the factory one on the right. The new one with the fresh paint is wider on the left. I'll give you a view of this. Where's the reverse? The new one is on the right, old one is on the left. You can see the old one had this cutout here, like there was supposed to be a second clutch pedal or something there. I don't know what that's for, because I don't think they made these but with one clutch pedal, so I have no clue. But anyway, this one you can take off without really removing anything, and the other one on the other side, you have to pull the brake pedals and stuff out because they're not notched like these are. So I can't really get up in there real good with a tire on there and really do much videoing with try to put this on, but it's only a couple of bolts. You have two in the back, one here, two here, and then you just kind of got to work it in there. So to no surprise, this one doesn't really fit either. You do have to remove the clutch rod in order to get that through that notch down there, but the bolt holes on this side do not line up either. I got to figure out what to do here. There seems to be embossment coming out of the transmission case here that was not an issue on the other one because the other one was cut out right here. This one's not cut out right there. Also, the holes in the step plate up under here are not big enough for the bolts that are in here, so I'm gonna have to drill that out. I had that issue on the other side, but on this bolt instead. And these bolts don't look like they're gonna line up either. And this hole here may be off as well, just like the other side was. These things do come blue. I painted these. I just used some Rust-Oleum spray paint on them because they're going to get scratched up anyways. And they're probably going to get scratched up before I get it put on here. As you see them scratched it up pretty good, but they come pre-scratched even when they're painted because UPS, they do pretty good at scratching stuff up as well because they don't come in a box. They came shrink wrap, saran wrap stuff that they put on them. So they were pretty scratched up when I got them anyway. So if you're looking to buy these and plan on not painting them, plan on being scratched because mine definitely were. It wasn't a big issue for me because I was painting them black and they're going to get scratched anyway. So I got to figure out what to do here and try to get this thing lined up a little better, and it'd be easier if this tire wasn't on here to see what was going on, but I don't know if I'm going to pull that off or not. I think I'm going to have to pull this back off, cut my notches back there, or my holes back there a little bigger, and then notch out right here around this where this is hitting. So I've got this back off of here. Right here is where that embossment on the transmission case is on this tractor. Apparently the newer tractors don't have that embossment, must have a bolt hole there. This one has the embossment, and the old step does not have a bolt there, so I'm just going to cut this ear right here and probably just bend it in. The other one has nothing here. And down here we have, the holes are too small, so I'm going to have to enlarge those, and then we'll try to see if it'll line back up again. Now, I may have to make this one here. The other one I had to move this notch here. It was a slit style like this on this one, I believe, on this area, and I had to make it wider because there wasn't enough adjustment. Alright, so you can see I cut here, cut there, folded this lip down right here with some pliers, enlarged these holes here, so we'll give this another shot. Alright guys, so I finally got this thing on here. I can't say that I'm 100% happy with it. It's wider and it looks better, and it's still got more room. It looks like it's bent down this way just a little bit. I had some serious issues getting this thing lined up and bolted on. It is not just to put it up there and bolt it on fit like it should be. Like I say, some of the holes are off. You got to really get some bolts in it and kind of work the bends in, and it's I don't know. It don't line up like it's supposed to. Maybe on the newer tractors it does, but this older tractor, it does not fit quite like it should. But it's on there. I'm going to look at seeing if I can make me a template and attach this fender with a piece of metal down. This has bolt holes in the side of it here, because the fenders on the newer tractors actually come out like this all the way down here, and they bolt into the side of here. Where these fenders are older tractor, so they do not. I couldn't even find the newer model fenders, because I thought about buying some newer model fenders, but I couldn't find them other than OEM, and they're super expensive that way. So you can buy these older model fenders aftermarket, but I just repainted these. They're not perfect, but it's an old tractor, so it'll be fine. But I'm going to make me a piece of metal and drill and bolt into this, and kind of make me a template here with some cardboard, so I can cut that out and be able to tie that fender into here, and I think it'll be okay. And to help add some support to the outer lip of this too, being so this is a lot wider. Alright guys, so I think I've settled on something after I got done doodling here on my piece of cardboard that I got cut out. Got me some marks on here, so I can kind of see how this lays. But basically, I've got that curvature marked right there, and I've got a line where this will go kind of at the top just for reference. But that's kind of what I got in mind right there. Cut me a piece of 1/8 inch over there I got. And where I got this little black mark at on that fender, I'll cut across with a Metabo wheel, and then cut this lip down right here, because it only goes to right there. So I can cut right through here, across here, remove that little lip, and then I can put this on the back side of here like that, tuck it in behind there, as you see. But it'll look like that, except the cardboard or the metal will be on the back side of the fender. I think that's about the best I'm going to be able to do with it, with what I'm working here. I mean, sure, you could still get your foot in the tire if you try real hard, but it's a whole lot better and a lot stronger. That'll add some support to the outside of this wider foot plate, and probably keep some brush off when you're bush hogging a little bit, and maybe some mud and all that good stuff. It looks a little better, looks a little safer in my opinion. Alright guys, so I wound up making these out of 14 gauge. I had a piece over there which was just barely big enough. It liked about a 1/2 inch being big enough. So I just shrunk the height to match a 1/2 inch. Wasn't going to hurt anything to do that. So I made 2 of these that are 1/2 inch shorter than what my template was, but they're going to work. As you see, I'll have to notch that out. That'll be plenty heavy enough to do what I need to do there. So I got 2 of them made. I'll have to get some holes drilled in here and get it all lined up, and take this tire off, get the fender kind of where it's got to be a little straighter than it is. It's kind of at an angle, and get everything lined up and get it put in there. Same thing with the other side, and should be good to go on that. Alright guys, so I've got this side here, the little plate I was in the process of making, bolted up. I decided to put it on the inside of the fender instead of the outside like I was originally going to do. I was going to cut this flange off right here and put it on the outside of the fender, but I decided it would look just fine on the inside of the fender, and it would fit a little better that way. and I don't think it looks too bad like that. As you can see, that ties that new floor plate there, step plate, whatever you want to call it, ties that into the fender so that supports that outside edge, being how it's so much wider than the original ones that came on this tractor. So when you step on it, that solids it up a whole lot. So I'm doing that, in the process of doing that on the other side. Got to get everything lined up and everything. I've got my new tubing in right here for my rollover protection structure. Ordered that from Metals Depot, and had it cut to length and whatever and shipped to me, because my local metal yard did not have any of that size. That's 5x2, 3/16 wall, and that will weld on top of this plate right here, which I had to remove this plate. I've just got it stuck up there right now to hold the fender as I was getting all that stuff lined up. So taking that back loose, the little piece of plate that I had on there will hold the fender, and I should be able to slide that plate out from between there after I pull the bolts out. And I'll be able to get these lined up with that. As I say, I'm working on this side right here. I got this made here. Got to drill the fender, get everything lined up, tighten these up. All right, guys, I got fender number 2 stuck up there. This is the fender bracket that I had to cut apart and rebuild, just to save a little bit of money because I didn't want to buy one, I guess. But anyway, I've got it all fixed up. I like the way that looks. It's a whole lot more room to put your feet. A lot nicer. It doesn't look bad at all the way I tied it in up there at the fender to me. I think it'll work just fine. All right, guys, we're working on the rollover protection structure now. And from the factory, these things came with, I think, either a 3/4 or maybe a 1-inch plate right here. This is only 5/8. I had some 5/8 in stock, and the plate that they come with were cut on an angle, because you see you can't come any further with this plate right here. So they cut it on an angle out from under the bottom. I didn't do that. I cut mine off square. So that may give us a little bit of problem with having enough room here for the square tubing or rectangle tubing to fit on. Also, the factory ones were a threaded plate. I didn't thread mine because it's easier just to weld a nut on it. So I'm going to weld this nut right here. I made the hole bigger than the bolt down there, so there's a little bit of clearance to, you know, allow for some room to wiggle. And anyway, I'm going to weld this nut right here. Then our rectangle tubing will go over the top of it, and it's going to come up at an angle. And the one that I looked at was just in front of this bolt here a little bit. So I don't know what angle that's going to be. We're going to try 5 degrees. So the tubing comes up right through here. That's what I got in mind. So I got my piece of tubing over here. Again, this is 5x2, 3/16 wall. And I'm gonna lay me a mark here, cut off 5 degrees of it with a bandsaw, and then we'll hold it up there and see what it looks like. So I'll take a speed square here. Find 5 degrees down here somewhere. And I had them cut these 68 inches long, so 5'8". That's what I had them cut. I measured my other tractor, and it was roughly somewhere around there. It should give us about 100 inches. Somewhere there is about 100, 102 inches overhead height. I think the aftermarket ones I seen wasn't quite that tall. They were 3 or 4 inches shorter. And I don't want to be bumping my head on the thing when I go to get on and off. If you ever go to step up on a tractor and you hit your head when you step up there and about knock yourself back off the tractor, it's not fun. So let's see here. Stop and look because I can't see what's going on here. Still pretty straight. It may would have been better cutting it the other way, but that looks pretty good right there. So we'll go with that. All right, guys, so this is where we're at on this project at this point. I've got both pieces stuck up there, and I've got them welded, or tack welded. I don't have them fully finished welded, but I've got them tacked up there. I went ahead and welded a weld across the back and the front up there to make sure that they're not going to break off or anything when I go to moving this, because I have to remove everything so that I can get a weld in between here, weld down this side here. So I've got to take everything off so I can do that and paint it. I've got a piece of pipe that's going to go in the top up there. It's going to go all the way from outside, all the way through both side walls of the tubing on each one. And then I'll weld around the outside, weld around the inside, cap the outside, and cap the tops. And I'll remove this piece of angle iron. I just got that piece stuck in there to hold everything square and everything together. For right now, while I was tacking this up so it didn't twist and everything. It took me a little while to get it straight, make sure it was not twisted in this manner and another. But got everything like I want it right now. I'm waiting on a hole saw. I thought I had one, but I do not. I probably could cut it with a torch, but I might mess it up. So I'm going to go ahead and get a hole saw so that I can drill from the outside all the way through to the inside. Then I'll measure down, do the same thing on the other side, slide my pipe in, tack weld it. We'll be ready to take this thing off and weld everything up, get it painted, and put it back together. One thing I did want to mention on the newer tractors, the New Holland version of these 5610s, they had a metal plate right here. Instead of having this fender bracket on the inside, the fenders were different and a little longer where these are short, and they actually tied into the footwells up there like I kind of made these do. But anyway, they used a metal plate right here, and I thought about doing that and just welding the metal plate here, and I could have saved a little bit of money on buying that fender bracket, but I didn't have anything to reference off of and hold this fender up here in the meanwhile. I guess if you could built some kind of jig or something maybe and held it up there where you wanted it maybe, and you could have built something like that, but I'm really using the fender bracket to be able to hold it up here, and then if I decide to do something different, I might do something with that. But I think the fender bracket method is going to work just fine. They did make obviously a bunch of them this way, so I'm not sure how much tire clearance that I'm going to have right here, but it was clearing whenever I took this off. But I did have to drill right here and move these out to have enough room here, because the way I did this here, as I say, the factory one is cut at an angle here and moved in just a little bit closer, because they did not use a nut on where this bolt goes in. I had to use a nut, and the factory does not use a nut. It is threaded into here, and so they were able to move this tubing over. I'm not exactly sure how much, probably another 1/4, 3/8 of an inch on each side. But anyway, I'm doing what I got to work with, and the best way I can figure out how to do it, what I got to work with. But I think everything's going to work. I don't have this tightened down. I want to have a little gap in that so that it don't rattle and rub, but I'll get that straightened out, and we'll get this thing off of here when I get some more time to work on it and get it finished welded out, pipe in the top, paint it up, put back together, canopy on it, tires on it, all that good stuff. All right, guys, so I'm still waiting on my hole saw to come in. I'll have it either late tonight or tomorrow. And I was gonna wait and do that and drill the holes with it on there and get the piece of pipe through there and tack it around and make it more secure. But I've got a couple of hours here to mess with this right now. And I've got my lights wired up. I'll show you that, what I did here. I've got these lights right here. These are the 5-inch work lights from Tractor Supply. And I was trying to figure out a good way to do this. And the way these come from the factory, they bolt in from the back side. Is the way the lights come on these 6610s, and I guess the 5000 Fords and all that stuff that had the fenders like this. The lights bolt in from the back side. Well, these have a bracket on them like this, and so I just drilled a hole through the top here and put a bolt down through it, and I used a 1/2 inch shaft collar and a lock washer in there to space this down, and then I can adjust it right here, and I've got 2 on each side. Now this tractor only came with 1 on each side, I believe, but I got it with 2 on each side, and then on the back here I've got a little different kind of light laid over there. It's going to bolt right here, and the plug is going to go right here. I had a little bit of a rust spot right here where I patch jobbed this fender, and so there was still a little rusty spot right there, so I just took a hole saw, cut that out, and then the plug kind of go through there, and kind of looked like it was made to be that way. Just kind of hide that. I'll show you this other light over here. That's the other light, different style. That's more of a flood, more of a flood, where the other lights are a spotlight. I've got the new battery cables ordered from Battery Cable USA. Got them on there. Got it disconnected right now, but I got them all on there. Everything looks good with that. We got our headlight switch here installed. That's a Tractor Supply headlight switch. I've got it so that only one light comes on when you first pull it, the first click, and then all 4 of them come on the second click, as well as the one on the back will come on. So it's pretty bright there. So hopefully that'll work out well. So anyway, right now what I want to do is get my other tractor around here, because this thing's over 100 pounds. I've just got this piece of angle iron tacked up here. Hopefully it does not break apart, but what I want to do is bring my other tractor in here with a hay fork on it, chain it to this, and loosen these bolts up. And I think the fenders will stay right here, because they're bolted here with this plate that I made, so they should stay here when I unbolt this. I can support this with the tractor and be able to slide this plate out from under here and get it out, so I can finish welding around the bottom. I can drill my hole from a pipe at the top, get the pipe put in it, weld it up, then all this will get painted and then reassembled. All right guys, so I got my hole saw in. This is a Morse brand, made in USA. I've heard good things about this Morse brand. I've never used a Morse brand tool, but I've heard good things about them. But usually any of the ones that's a bimetal, that's a quality name brand, such as a DeWalt, thinking this Morse, Diablo, Lennox, I think Starrett. Several of them I've used that's been really good and hold up really well. So we're going to try this one out. It's 2 7/8 for the 2 7/8 pipe that we're about to put in. All right, guys, so I'm going to stand this thing up on its side and make a mark 2.5 inches down from the top, and dead center is 5 inch wide, so it'll be 2.5 inches the other way as well. And then we'll drill us a pilot hole. Make sure you guys are still in frame there. Oh yeah, you guys can still see. Should be the center of it. Yep. And we'll measure 2.5 inches the other way. Should be our center. I'm just going to start this with a small drill bit here. Probably should center punch it, maybe I'll be alright without doing that. Alright. Now, probably ought to get out my corded drill over there. I ain't used this drill in a long time. I got a mag drill, but the mag drill won't turn a bit this big. I think it's only an 1.5 inch capacity mag drill. Okay. Good enough. There you go. Cut fluid. Oh well. All right, got one on one side done. Side number 2. All right, so here's our piece of pipe that I got going here. Snug fit. Get the hammer. appears to be good. Alright guys, well that's kind of what it looks like. I got the ends capped off on the pipe and on the tubing here. One pass around the pipe, one pass around the cap, and then one pass kind of to blend everything together. So there's 3 passes on the outside on each side. And I hope it's correct. Hope all the measurements are correct because it's welded out, ready to go. I'm gonna let it finish cooling off there while I take me a break, and I'll wipe it down and figure out where I'm gonna prop it up at so I can get some paint sprayed on it. Alright guys, so I got it painted. I just used some Rust-Oleum spray paint. I was gonna mix up some paint in a spray gun, but I really don't feel like cleaning a spray gun right now. So I just painted one side of it, let it dry so I could touch it, flipped it over, spray painted the other side of it. I'm letting it dry, and then we'll be ready to pick it up and put it on there. I do have a piece of a canopy outside that was given to me, but it needs some straightening out. It came off of a tractor like this, I believe, and it's the same dimensions to fit that size tubing and everything. And I found some U-bolts on Amazon, ordered them, and I got to get some nuts and washers and stuff for them that'll fit this. But I'll have to get that canopy straightened up and cleaned up and spray a little paint on it, and then we'll try to put that on maybe in another video or something. But right now I just want to get this here, let this paint dry. We're going to get this back assembled. I can get all the fenders and stuff bolted down and get the tires put back on. right, guys, I've got it setting up there. I got to get it bolted down, and it'll be a done deal. Scratched it up a little bit. I knew I would. That paint is still really soft and kind of tacky, but it's like 100% humidity out here, real close to it, upper 90s, and it's going to take forever for that stuff to dry and cure. That's why, one of the reasons I just spray painted it like I did. It'll be all right though. So let me get these plates and stuff up on here and figure out about these stabilizers I just bought, figure out which hole that they got to go in and whatnot. I'm gonna get this thing bolted up here so I can get the tires back on it so I can get it moved outside, or at least make it movable so I can get some other stuff in the shop. All right, guys, I've got everything bolted back up. I don't have the correct bolts for the stabilizers down here. I just stuck a 9/16 bolt in there. It come with a bolt. The bolt that came with is too big to go through the bracket. I need a size in between the one I got in there and the one it came with. The one it came with on this end was too long, so I used the one that was in that end on this end to make that work. But it looks okay, other than my tire to fender gap is okay on this side, but on this side here, on the front up there, it's actually touching. When I had the tractor on the jack stands and I turned it around, turned the tire around, there's one little spot in the tire that actually scrapes up there. So I'm either gonna have to take a grinder and grind a little bit of this out, clearance it, or see if I can loosen this back up and slide it back in. What happened is, so I tighten it down after I put that well right here, it pushed this fender out just a little bit. And so I may have to address that. As a last resort, I can move these wheels out 2 inches because they are all the way in. I can take these bolts out around here and put this disc on the back side of there. That'll move the tires out 2 inches on each side. So anyway, that's all for this video. I'm gonna back this thing out of here, do some cleaning up. My camera's just about dead anyway. And I'll go ahead and wrap this video up. I'm sure it's getting pretty long. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.